big small talks with Chucky, me and you. It's big small talks, BSing with the group. It's big small talks, expanding points of view. It's big small talks, it's big small talk.
We going?
We are live.
All right, what's going on, dude? Haven't seen you. Seems like in a fucking week.
I think it's been about a week.
Yeah,
I was traveling, world traveler now.
Yeah, world traveling.
We're traveling to the States.
Same area, just upward.
Just right upward. But I had never been over there because I haven't been to Vancouver that way either.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
Well, I've been to Alberta, which is somewhat up there. So it's like to the right of
Vancouver?
British Columbia. Yeah.
Okay. And that's where your girl's family's at.
Oh, well, they're from Vancouver, but we were vacationing in up in Alberta.
Okay.
Right across the border. So.
Okay. Yeah, dude, it was cool. I was in Seattle, Washington, and it was nice. I really liked the weather.
How was the air? Seems,
dude, the air is crazy.
There's a lot of trees.
Dude,
get a lot of the CO2.
It's so clear. I couldn't get over the clouds. Like I was straight up. I would just look to the clouds, because the other thing is, because there's a lot of like it's a breeze. It's not gusty. It's not windy, but the clouds are constantly moving. And they're so low, so it looks fake.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, is this real? Like it's
the clouds
so
here,
nice.
like they almost seem fake because they don't move. It's like a canvas. It's like the Truman Show,
right?
Like that cloud's been there since I was 7.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking cloud.
Yeah.
Like when you go up to like try to form, like as like kids, you try to make your own like
clouds
picture.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's the same fucking donut that when I was 7.
Yeah, no,
it
it's one and yellow.
Yellow. It has some coloration. It's getting mold.
Yeah, it's like those are the fresh filtered clouds up north, and then as they continue to come over here, they just continue to pick up debris and all the dirt and all the carbon.
They pick up a drinking habit, and they're not productive. That's why like you hear the conspiracies, which I don't think it's conspiracy anymore, but like of the alternate like synthetic weather alternating. So like planes go in the air, and then they just drop like certain salts or whatever to produce more like water filtration.
Interesting.
Yeah,
and
so
that's
I
a real
don't
thing?
know exactly about it, but I hear it's undisclosed, and what's his name? Alex Jones talked about it, but like I guess it's a whole thing.
And that's a real thing. Like it,
I think so.
It's an actual thing.
I can't confirm.
Yeah,
keyboards over there. So
yeah, huh?
But anyway, yeah,
water filtration, clouds.
Yeah, just say man-made weather.
Man-made weather?
Yeah, man-made weather.
Let's see here.
Mechanical weathering, also called physical weathering, causes rock to crumble. I don't think that's it. Maybe man-made clouds.
Man-made clouds. Making artificial rain clouds? Does that seem right?
Yeah, I get
Hello everyone, this is your Daily Dose of Internet. NASA created this huge facility to test out their rocket engines. Every time they conduct a test, an enormous amount of hydrogen
This guy kinda
and
sounds like Bo
oxygen
Burnham.
gets mixed
A
together.
little bit.
As a result, these engines are basically pumping water vapor into the atmosphere. After about an hour, this water vapor will eventually fall back down as rain.
Oh, shit.
Oh my god.
Person pulled her car over because she heard a strange sound coming from her engine.
Oh my gosh, I'm so scared.
Of course.
Oh my gosh, I'm so scared.
What? Oh, it's going into something else.
Oh,
that's fucking weird.
that is weird.
Move over the screen on the computer screen on the second camera right here on the OBS.
Yeah.
Yeah, scoot that over. Just line it up a little bit.
To the left?
Up left, up towards me a little bit. Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. Well, what I was talking about is that there's like plane pilots that are like contracted by the government to to I think just put some sort of chemical compound into clouds already made, and then it just produces
Gotcha.
weather. So
Interesting.
But Seattle, I don't think that's happening.
No. It's so
All
clear.
natural.
The vibe that I was getting was very similar to like San Francisco in terms of that's where you are near the water because it's a lot of ports and bays, and there's a lot of like boat docks and stuff like that, and they have a pier, so you get that kind of like vibe. But if you look out, it's just all trees, it's all mountains. There is like several mountains like within like distant views that like still had snow on it. And so then you kind of just look at your surroundings and everything's like super tall trees, like super green. Everything looks like really healthy. So it was just a nice change of pace.
Did you go to the beach at all?
There wasn't like a beach because it's the Seattle within in the city of like Seattle, like the downtown area. The water that's surrounding it is like in a canal, and then is it the North Pacific Ocean? Like you got to go around mountains to get to it. So it's almost like huge lakes. That's what it looks like. So it's very still water, which kind of gives it an even cooler vibe because you're like in this in between of, am I at a lake or am I at the beach? You know, you're just, it's a really cool.
Is Seattle like right, like geographically by the coast, or is it more? Okay.
Yeah. Like, so if you get out of those mountains that I was talking to you about, like you're right there in the ocean.
Yeah, I think San Fran, it's like it's more on a channel that feeds into the ocean more than it's like actually like on the water.
On the beach.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's like San Francisco too, where it's like there's just pebbles and it's just not really meant to. I mean, I think like beaches in Southern California, like that sand, that's like man-made.
Really?
Yeah, like it's just kind of grounded up rocks and it's just used and it's just plowed over. Yeah.
I wouldn't know because, I mean, there's other beaches that have similar sand, so I don't think it's necessarily man-made. Maybe they've added to it.
You mean in Seattle?
No, like in California.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Like, I mean, once you get towards like when you're just diving, like body surfing, you hit the ground, it's still the same sand.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But I don't know. The more and more like I kind of like explore over here a little bit, you know, I do want to like end up like in a mountain area. I think I'm more of a mountain person than I am beach. I love the beach. Don't get me wrong. I will never say no to the beach. But there's more of a desire to be steady in a mountain area, in nature and trees, the fresh air. I like doing those outdoorsy things there rather than like at the beach. I kind of get exhausted from the beach, you know, like just the heat, and I don't know. That's just like my personal take on it so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm excited to like continue to like, we're gonna be going to Boise this month, at the very end of this month.
Damn.
I know. So I'm excited for that too. It was interesting to be traveling like during this whole COVID thing too, because dude, like the airports were so hot. I don't know if it's because it's cold in Seattle, but like their AC was not on, and you had the masks on, and there were so many people. I mean, you would have not thought we were in COVID. It was so many people.
Just backed up. Was there people? Would you see people just every once in a while without a mask?
No,
it was all masks.
They were. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a blue state, and I think like they're pretty on it. Like everybody, even just walking like outside, people were like running, biking, like skating. Like they were all out, but they were all in masks. Like over here, you kind of like if you're outside, you pretty much don't see anybody in a mask.
Did you happen to talk to any locals like about it?
We had an Uber driver, and he was like, "So did you guys get vaxxed?" You know, it's just right up front. Yeah, right up front.
Maybe just for his own sake. He's like, I'm not going to let you in this fucking car.
Exactly. Like, get the fuck out. But he asked, and we're like, yeah, we both did. And he's like, I just actually had COVID in December. So, and he's like, and I'm still feeling the side effects. And we're like, really? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I got vaxxed and everything, but like, I got like a long-term, like pretty severe case. Like, luckily not like death or anything like that. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I'm still like feeling it. Like things that I would do that would not have been like considered like physically like alarming or anything like that. He was like, I feel like I ran a marathon when I just do those like normal things still. Damn, that's wild.
Well, and that was the first state to get hit with COVID, like
In
with that
America?
cruise. With the cruise that came from, I believe, it came from China, and then came through Seattle. That's where they found it. So maybe firsthand, like everyone's
Yeah.
just like,
We're
dude,
not
this
messing
hit
with
us
this.
in fucking like November,
Yeah.
December, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
knew about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're like, we're not playing any games here. So they're
Yeah.
probably gonna be the last ones to like lift any.
Well, yeah, because imagine if they had another breakout.
Yeah.
It'd be like, Seattle, what the fuck,
Yeah.
dude? Like,
Get it
everybody
together.
knows. You have trees.
Yeah.
You have trees. You have the clouds. The clouds don't help. Jesus Christ. We're going to have to put fucking mask on the clouds and the trees.
Mask
Oh
on
my
the cloud and the
God.
trees.
And they would do it too. If they got blowback.
It was funny because we were walking to this brewery and we saw like you just see dogs, that's like kind of like what we look for.
It's
Like
normal,
everybody has a dog out there, and one of these it was like perfect timing to where we were talking about wearing face masks and stuff like that within our conversation. And we just like look over and there was one dog walking this way and another dog walking this way. And this dog had a muzzle on, but it looked like a flannel one. I was like, that one's not vaxxed. It was like, that one's fully vaxxed. And like,
Wow.
dude, it was hilarious.
That would have been a funny picture.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
like the caption or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
Hey, I could see some people putting the muzzles on, saying
what
that
I'm
like,
saying.
oh, well, he's
Like,
not good around other dogs, but in their mind they're like,
We don't want him to get COVID.
fucking like he's not gonna want to get vaccinated. And like, he has political views that I don't agree with, so fuck it, I pay his rent. Right? He's
Yeah.
put that shit on.
Yeah, put the shit on. Yeah, we're going out. Come on. Yeah, but it was a cool experience. We got to do like a bunch of stuff like in the city. We didn't get to go out.
I was gonna
Obviously.
like say too, like before going in a restaurant, like they have the muzzle off. It's like, all right, we're going in. The dog's he gets ready
Yeah.
and then just puts it on,
Yeah.
going inside for respect.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
You were also saying that that you noticed like a number of homeless people too.
It's
roaming
not so much it wasn't so much the number, because the number wasn't what was I guess eye catching. It was like the type of homeless. So, and it just could be, Erica was saying that like I'm biased, but I really do, I think that like I did notice this for a reason, so in LA there's a lot more homeless people, but they just kind of seem more to themselves, and they're not doing anything that crazy, at least during the day. At night, I don't really know. I'm not there at night. But during the day, like they're pretty much just kind of living. Like they're, especially like in Skid Row, like they're just walking around doing their thing, like, whatever. Like
It's normal to just
Yeah.
drive around, like
walk around. Like when you go to the art district or like whatever, like you're really not bothered. And yeah, like some of them will ask for some money and stuff, but like it's nothing out of the ordinary. And in Seattle, I was only there for 4 days, 3 nights, and I saw people shooting up. Like I saw people like under like blankets, like, and the blankets were like moving, like at a park, just like daylight, like no shame whatsoever. I mean, weed is legal there, so like just people like lighting up, like kind of like here. It wasn't a big deal, but the heroin thing was kind of like, whoa, like I hadn't seen like needles like that, like just as much as I did. And then the people they seemed more like schizophrenic, kind of like talking to themselves and like bugging out kind of deal. Whereas in San Diego, LA, and like even San Francisco, it was just kind of more like tamed. It was more like low key. They looked more like stoner or like alcoholics kind of vibe. Whereas over here, it felt more like tweakers, like some hard stuff.
So maybe it's the opposite of the clouds, like like clouds going up there is better, but then just something about them.
Yeah.
Also, like we haven't truly been to a lot of like downtown areas like in the last year or so. So maybe just generally across the board, it's probably
100%.
getting worse. I started following this page. It's like Streets of Los Angeles on Instagram.
Okay.
And it's just showing a bunch of crazy shit that's going on in the streets. Like apparently there's like an average of like 24 encampment fires. So encampment is just like almost like a neighborhood of tents or just tents back to back.
Yeah.
And it's just every day there's just new fires, and it's not just like on a street where nothing's getting spread. It's like always next to like a freeway underpass, or there's just things, you know, that's getting affected. If you see Venice, it's like all over the place.
Yeah.
And the whole thing there is that they say it's all drug related. Like it's not like just people just trying to live, you know, cheaply
or something like that. Yeah.
No, it's just all about them finding a place to do drugs. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that? I don't know if it's a park but it's a location that Jaden Smith bought to house homeless, or he's like building a restaurant where homeless can like eat for free in LA. Yeah. I don't know.
Probably like Hollywood, or
I have no idea. I don't know. Let's see here.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a great idea. I just wonder if they have some sort of limitations so it won't get exploited.
Maybe it's not housing. I think it's a restaurant.
So it's just free meals.
Let's see here.
It's a food truck.
Food truck, free meals. We name it Smith's I Love You food truck operation that was launched almost 2 years ago on his 21st birthday.
That's cool. Like if it could if it could go to those places where there's a lot of homeless people.
Right.
Because imagine he's just up in like Hollywood Boulevard, like just where like there's just not like a lot of homeless people to begin with.
Right. He's like giving it out to like 2 people a year.
Yeah.
Making it sound
there's like
good.
There's just no homeless people.
Yeah.
He leaves before they even get there. Like,
let's see. Smith's vegan meals found their way to 8,000 of LA Skid Row residents. Eventually, I Love You's efforts were expanded to serve at-risk residents in Harlem, New York City. So I guess he already started a food truck. And I guess they're maybe expanding to do more in Skid Row. That's cool.
Yeah, that's tight.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying like it was like a restaurant at first. I was like, how are they gonna...
that's honestly what I thought. But
that's
this
better,
is probably
more secure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, that's good. Good for him. He's been doing he does a lot of social justice stuff. He does like the clean water, like isn't he like the one behind the box water? Isn't that his too?
I don't know that much
Anything
about him,
yeah.
to be honest, but
yeah.
Yeah, that's tight.
Yeah. But yeah, it was cool. It was a good experience. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I'm happy to be home. I like kind of exceeded all my funds.
Yeah, the fun thing, that's like a limitation on traveling, because everyone wants to travel,
right?
Basically, and everyone wants to go look at new places, but then, I mean, they're just gonna exploit you for what you got if you want to do certain things.
Yeah, because especially when you're looking to do like touristy things, you know, like we did the Sky Needle, so that just takes you all the way up top, and then we had like a couple glasses of wine just overlooking the view. That was super tight, but that was like $55. We went to this hole in the wall restaurant called the Pink Door. It's supposedly like a TikTok vibe place that she knew about. So we had reservations there. We went to this dumpling place that was like
off the chain.
Dude, so good.
I like a good dumpling.
Dude, it was so bad. We were just like, can we get another one of these? Like another order? It's like, yeah. Can we get some more noodles too? It's like, yeah. So then we dropped money there, but so worth it. It was so good. You know what I was actually disappointed with? And I don't know if because it was in downtown, so maybe these are like the mainstream spots, and like in the entire state of Washington, there's probably some dope ones, but like their coffee. I was like, their coffee was not anything great. Like I go to way more coffee shops over here locally, like in the IE, like Riverside County, even, and then LA County, obviously, Orange County, that are like just way better. And I don't know what that's about. I was not impressed. And we went to quite a few because we were like trying to like, the coffee, like,
Maybe that's why Starbucks started there.
Came out of here.
Like
yeah.
That's their draft pick. That's their LeBron.
We didn't go to the first one. We saw the line. I was like, and like we kind of peeked inside, and it's literally the same thing. So it's like you're standing in this long line just to get a cup of coffee, Starbucks coffee, from the first Starbucks. And so what we did was we just went to the Starbucks up the street. That was literally like maybe 10 seconds a walk. Went there. The line was super short. Got a Starbucks and then went in front of the other one and just like because
We made it.
Yeah, it's the same one. We went to the roastery though, the Starbucks roastery in Seattle. That was pretty dope. They have like it's kind of like picture like a brewery, like the big old like kettles and stuff like that, where they're like roasting the beans and stuff. So they have that. They have their own bakery, like super good, like way better than what they produce, over here, mass production. And then they have like knowing what they're doing baristas, not just these like people that need a job.
Yeah.
They actually, we were talking to one of them and they're basically saying like, you pretty much have to have like at least like 1 to 2 years experience and then you have to apply. Like, it's not like,
It's probably like a really small, like,
oh
like
no,
list.
it's pretty big. It was pretty big, but the list is probably big, but then they kind of are probably able to funnel, to like get a few. And he was saying that there's one in like New York, there's one in Seattle. And I don't know if he said there's one. I think he said there's 3. There's 3. But it was pretty cool. We came
That's
up.
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, just working
Yeah.
like just being there and just being able to see it firsthand.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Just kind of see where it like came from and stuff. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah. I mean, McDonald's doesn't have anything like that. Like, there's no like
History.
mother store, and it's like, oh,
True.
we actually cook on a fucking stove here.
I mean, I'm sure there is a first one, but it's just not talked about.
the first one's in Redlands
Oh, is it
or something. It's like in the Riverside County. That's like the OG one.
McDonald's?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Yeah.
first In-N-Out.
It's in Downey.
I think so. The first Tommy's is in East LA. Been to that one.
What else?
Where's the first Jack in the Box? That was, we kind of talked about that on the podcast, I think, one time.
Like the beginning, like the
Yeah.
first one.
Because it wasn't Jack in the Box. It was something else first. And then they were the first ones that invented the drive-through call box. Isn't that wild? Jack in the Box was.
Huh.
Yeah. I had to do a research paper on Jack in the Box.
So like beforehand, it's like you just go up to window and just, this is what I want.
No,
and-
it was the you would like roll up to the speaker box things and they would like come to you as a server.
kind of like Sonic.
Like the rollerblade thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, we could just do this
With
by
the cars.
I
Yeah.
wonder how shitty that system was like in the
Dude,
beginning.
at first.
It's kind of like that Dane Cook joke about Burger King, like it's either way too loud or it's way too soft.
Yeah. But, after working in fast food, like a lot of that whole issue is one, the worker. Like, does the worker pronunciate and are they audible on the little thing? And then same with like the customer. Because like sometimes the customer's like on their phone. They're not, and if you're not like talking directly to the call box, like it's really hard to hear you. Or sometimes like the passenger's ordering and the person that's in the driver's seat is just like kind of sitting back letting this person order, but like you can't hear from the passenger seat. So you're like, it's just really hard to hear you from and then we have cameras too. So you're like, it's just really hard to hear you from the passenger.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh. And then
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like you have to be very good at speaking if you really want to get it. Because sometimes you go to like Pepe's, like for Mexican food, and they're like hello,
Yeah.
la, 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 la,
Yeah.
and then like they don't pronounce their words right because they
Right.
just assume like you hear them, but
Yeah.
like because they're hearing the white noise and the sound
Yes.
of the kitchen when they
Yes.
turn it on,
yeah.
it's like I can't. There's no gate.
Yeah.
There's no gate like compressor that's like ducking.
No, not at all.
So recently I was like, I went to the doctor and then I had to do my health insurance stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then the person's to help me change my primary physician was Indian. And I remember having somewhat like bad communication from them early on when I had to deal with them.
Yeah.
But I think they set their game up or they're just, I don't know, they're just better at pronouncing sentences better. Like they still have an accent.
Are you talking about the Indian culture, like from like customer service? Stuff
I mean-
in the past
Yeah.
to now,
Yeah, just from
not your
getting-
specific
getting-
healthcare provider.
That's right. Just
Okay, okay, okay.
just my experiences talking to
Yes.
people with Indian accents. Maybe they were from here and they just had
Yeah,
Indian
yeah,
accents. I don't
yeah,
know. But like
yeah.
just it was very hard to get through. But now it seems like
But how
They took
often
that.
do you deal with that now
now
compared to back then?
back then. Now I don't know, maybe every other month or
Oh,
so.
really?
Yeah, so like I
I
could
can't remember the last time I had to deal with.
it's like or like some tech help or something.
Right.
Usually, is
See,
like
but
what
I
get
can't
through.
because I used to have to deal with that when we were with Verizon and when we were with AT&T because they outsource. They don't have things planted here. They outsource their tech people in India. So that's legitimate, like why that would happen for you.
Hmm.
But Apple is in-house. So it's just America.
Hmm.
So like anytime you need tech, unless they have somebody from India working here in the States or like something like that,
Yeah.
like you're always pretty much going to get in America. And then all of the tech stuff, like all of the Sweetwater stuff, that's American. So anything, it's from Louisiana, I think. So my tech from there is like still here. Native Instruments is here. Ableton is here because they have their site in LA. So I haven't really dealt with Indian accent. The last time I dealt with it heavily was when I was working for Honda and Acura, and I had to train 5 people from India because they were gonna take my job. They started to outsource for the website testers, which is what I was doing. And so I'm so stupid, dude. I did not realize what I was doing.
Mhm.
Like, not that I would have really had a choice. Like, I was in there just getting paid. So they're like, yeah, you're just going to show them what you do and yada, yada, yada. And so we would go on Zooms and I had to do like calls and still really difficult, even though it was me communicating over to them, because again, like with the accent barrier and then on top of bad signal, I think that's the worst thing is like, it's not even so much their communication skills. Because if you were talking in person, you'd probably be chilling. But it's that like bad connection, via the phone or the call box or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It just
Well,
makes
and then
it
you get
so hard.
frustrated, and then it's
Yeah.
hard to empathize.
Yeah.
My probably favorite tech is when I get someone from the South,
Yes.
and I've only got it maybe twice. Once it was
this is Rachel. How can I help you?
well, they start to go. So my first experience with this dude for Mac or Genius support,
Okay.
and he was from North Carolina.
My bad, YouTube. I left that up. Oops.
No worries.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And his name was like Abel or something like that, like something like biblical or whatever.
Yeah.
from North.
Something biblical.
He's from North Carolina, and because like I was trying to update my computer because like it crashed or something like that, and while we were waiting, he's just making little notes like, all right, so once you get to the preferences, let me know when you're done and did. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what was it? Like, oh, I'm sorry. Tell me when you're done. like, and then I'll remember like, oh,
Sick.
no. And then
Tell me when
we
you're done and
started talking about food, and he's all, I'm a foodie in my daytime.
Sick.
I spend my time just on my phone looking at food more than I do smelling it. Yeah. And it's because I see it as like, well, he's saying the same things that we're saying.
Yeah.
But there's some flavor about it
Right.
that almost just like alleviates the stress of like, I don't want to be on the phone for 30 minutes with a stranger.
Right.
Well,
especially when they have a good attitude too. Because then that vibration
yeah, like, I'd be
of that
so
attitude.
miserable if I was in his position
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
doing over and over,
Yeah.
and especially dealing with people that like
Right.
may not need help or whatever.
Right.
So I thought that was cool. And then one time it was for Workday, like the kind of the profile application for like Chipotle.
Okay.
Like that's like
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you request days off and stuff.
Yeah.
And not even joking, her name was Rashonda.
Nice.
Hello, my name's Shonda, and she sounded pretty straightforward, like English language wise.
Yeah.
And then once it got to like we were like talking about like just like when we like the curtain was down, we're just talking about normal stuff.
Yeah.
Like then the accent kind of just went in swing, and
Kind of came in,
I found my like vowels were dropping, but that's just that's kind of like how I talk already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I think I could speak for you and say that that's probably your favorite accent.
Yes, it's my favorite, and I think just at an early age, it was just maybe the easiest or to pick up,
Okay.
and that I would just say over and over again. And that's, I mean, for a while we had a really good English accent,
Right.
but we'd say it less now. So.
Right. Yeah, we used to have a hockey coach, and we were with him from like 12 years old. You were 11. to about the last we played.
Yeah, last time I played,
Yeah.
back, until like I was like
20
20,
something.
21.
Yeah, 20s. And just being around him and it was like an obsession. It wasn't to like make fun of either. Like we were thoroughly like we loved it.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure.
And he was so cool, so he didn't get bothered by it. He would actually laugh about it too, because he would make fun of us, and he would be able to do not just an American accent, but a Californian accent. You know, the way that we would talk.
We would just love it every single time. Just
because he was so good at it. Like he could just kill it. I don't know what it is about.
He used to. We were like 10, 11, 12 years old, and like he was skating us, and as a coach, you know, he kept calling us bloody wankers. At the time, we had no idea what he was saying.
Meant. Yeah,
because bloody, like no one just said bloody.
Right.
We didn't know what. So and then we know what blood is.
Yeah.
But how we didn't know that it meant fuck.
Yeah.
Or the fucking. And then wanker, no idea what that was. So then it took us a while to really understand.
Yeah.
Yo, you fucking wankers. You bloody wankers.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard to really be disciplined by that.
And he was thick with the accent when he first came over, and then slowly but surely he started to lose it a little bit, and we would like always like comment on like, oh, you're not even British anymore.
And then so he's like played pro, and he played with British. As soon as he was here for a couple of years, he would go to like Olympic tournaments as an American.
Yeah.
That's like what he which I'm like, that's kind of weird. But
did he have dual citizenship? Is that okay.
Yeah, so he could still go up there and be all good.
Yeah, it was sick. Man, that's my favorite accent.
The British
accent.
Well, he's from Liverpool, but he didn't sound like the Liverpool accent, like the Paul McCartney.
But didn't they end up moving to Great Britain? Because his family
Great
was in
Britain
Great Britain.
is the United Kingdom. Is the whole thing.
No, there's actually a state, Great Britain. So like Liverpool, the same way, there's a Great Britain also. Trust me, I drove by it.
I don't think so.
I swear. Great Britain.
Why would... There's no America.
Yeah, but I'm telling you.
I don't think
Great
so.
Britain, I guess, cap.
It's London is the capital of...
I know. Hold on. Because is Great Britain and the UK the same? Hold on. Dude, I swear, I was there.
I know you were there.
I saw a dot. Maybe it was just a really small dot for...
So you saw it on the map?
On the map. No, not London. I saw it on the map and I was like, oh, that's weird. There's a Great Britain in Great Britain. I had that exact...
Like Great Britain is...
See?
Let's see. But I think that's just like when you click America, there's going to be a dot in the United States.
Yeah, but why is it so specific?
Click on it.
I'm clicked on it. Oh, God, it went away. Oh, you're right.
Because you're on it.
Oh, wow.
That's okay.
No way, dude. This whole... Well, ever since I had visited it. Because I was like, oh, that's weird. Because we drove from London to Manchester. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, damn. I'm stupid.
I didn't put it up on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like in London, like, could y'all just tell me where the Great Britain is?
Yeah.
Why is it so great?
Okay, so just for everybody to see what I'm seeing. So it says Great Britain right there. And so I thought that specific dot, because I knew Great Britain was Great Britain, but I thought there was a Great Britain in Great Britain.
Look up America and see if it does the same thing.
Okay.
United States. Well, there's no pin.
See?
Yeah, but it doesn't make you right.
It doesn't make me right, but you can understand where I'm coming from here.
Well, maybe
there's a little bit of justification for
maybe it doesn't do that in America because it's an American company. So they're like, we don't even need to do this. There's no dummies from here that do that.
F you. See, it says United Kingdom.
There's a lot of names for it. I know. It's confusing. A lot of different
and then Great Britain is right here so low. And it's not even the largest. Look at Manchester's way bigger.
Yeah, that is weird.
Okay, well, You've proven me wrong, but I'm glad you did because now I won't ever make this mistake in conversation.
Just to make sure. Hey, you believed it though.
I was about to prove you wrong.
You're like looking at me like, yo, dude, Great
Yeah,
Britain
you
is
don't
a
even
state.
know
They
what-
have a soccer team and everything.
Yeah, you don't even know what you're talking about. You've never been there.
What? I was there. I stepped in it.
That's what I was saying.
I went to the Great British Denny's. So we're talking about Glenn's accent, and I was like, he doesn't even sound from Liverpool, and you're like, he moved to Great Britain.
No, well, because I was saying his family was in Great Britain.
So
I was saying maybe that's why he doesn't sound Liverpool-y because maybe like the different like location. But now that
do you know what
argument
city?
is completely out the door.
Do you know what city?
I have no
Because they
idea.
may have moved. They may have.
Yeah, they
because
may
he
have.
said he was from Liverpool, but he doesn't
Yeah.
sound
Yeah,
Liverpoolish. Liverpool. Yeah.
Liverpool.
Doesn't sound like Liverpool.
He doesn't really sound like Liverpool.
It doesn't really sound like Liverpool.
Every time I hear like a Liverpool accent, it reminds me of like Dewey Cox.
Yeah,
like that.
I just was thinking about that
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
The Beatles scene with
Oh.
Jack Black, Paul Rudd, and a couple other dudes. There's an extended version of the scene too, which is fucking great.
Really?
Oh, dude, I just think like how fun, like that writing session was to write that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're in India, like at this at this Hindu temple, what would they say to each other?
Right. Yeah. For real.
It's so good.
It's were we talking about it on the podcast at all? I think that it comes up in a conversation pretty frequently about like comedy and like what you can and cannot say now versus what you could then.
I'm sure we've mentioned it.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Bringing this up.
bringing them up.
No.
But I mean that probably you could get away with. I
Right.
think because it's supposed to be one. It's
A parody.
It's a parody, so it's making fun of something, so they could be as outrageous as possible.
Right.
Two, it's a parody of a biopic,
Right.
so it's a documentary or a reflection of like someone
Truth.
else's life. So it's like
Yeah.
fiction, but it's not.
right.
So you could probably do that. Like maybe someone wanted to do like a spoof biography on like Lady Gaga or
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus or something like that, like
Right.
some contemporary figures. I think that'd be funny.
Interesting. Yeah, but I think it would probably have to be later on down the line. Like I don't know if you could do it like currently in their current like runnings of being famous. Cuz like he was already dead when this came out.
Yeah,
So
for
it's
sure.
and he also had like a rough go at it with his addictions and stuff. So maybe somebody like a Amy Winehouse you could do where it's like but it's only after she comes out with the true movie, the
Mhm.
biopic, like you're saying. Like you probably couldn't make that first, like the comedy
Yeah,
spoof.
I mean,
You'd
I
have to
guess you
wait.
could, but yeah, it's
It wouldn't hit home.
yeah because because you got to get permission by someone. So
Right.
either by them, so like Miley Cyrus, like get permission by her, or
Right.
if the person's dead, permission by Amy Winehouse's family. Or I'm sure like some artists are so intertwined with their studio deals that like the studios is really what goes down. So maybe
Right.
like a Britney Spears,
Mm.
like even if her dad was like maybe thinking about it, maybe this studio or something might
Yeah.
go down. So yeah, it's about perception. I mean, they would have to be down for it. Like maybe I feel like John Mayer would be okay with it.
Yeah.
And because people love him and
Yeah.
he likes comedy, like
He would
loves
laugh at
Dave
himself.
Chappelle's and stuff.
Yeah.
He could probably just like you could probably kind of make it kind of like this. It's like make it fictional, but not.
Right. Exaggeration.
That'd be sick.
Do you think that the writers for all the scary movies, like those spoofs, had to get permission from all the individual stuff that they did?
I don't think so. Maybe the third and fourth because the Weinman brothers they went through with their deal
Mm,
for the third one.
mm,
'Cause so the first two was their vision, their ideas, their writing,
Right.
and then the third one, the studio basically kicked them out, and
mm.
so there was a basically new franchise after that. So I think they might have gotten permission towards the
Gotcha.
end, but yeah, I don't think they did. I think a lot of times because they have a lot of like they have a lot of the same recurring themes,
Right.
and I don't think they would have.
Hmm.
And it's good publicity probably for whoever they're making fun of because it was like one of the
Right.
first of the time, so they probably just thought, oh, free publicity, So
That was so sick. Speaking of comedy, we we kind of watched this Bo Burnham special. I'll get to that later. It's called Inside.
I'm gonna pull
Yeah.
it up. See, it's not so hard, is it?
Yeah,
Not so
you mean
easy.
not so easy? You mean?
Yeah.
Well, let's just show. They don't have a So he just came out with a new special, and it's called Inside. It's on Netflix, and we got through like halfway.
And it was very experimental, but well done, I thought.
Yeah, he basically, I'm not sure how many months he ended up working on it, but he worked on the special alone. So he's credited for writing it, he's credited for editing it, filming it, and then performing it. You made some speculation. You were wondering if maybe he compiled the entire thing, like did a pretty decent job of editing it and doing it all together, but then maybe in the final stages of like getting it to Netflix or whatever, he like might have had some help.
Maybe. I think that comment was more of I was asking prior, like, does he do things like did he start when in his early on? I was wondering if he started and did everything on his own, and then once he got big and had bigger productions, like, oh, he probably got some help.
I see.
This though, I mean, it doesn't look that too complicated enough to just do it on your own.
Right. Yeah, and from what I was getting from it is because he did start off on YouTube, so he knows his way. He obviously knows his way around production, music stuff, because he writes all his own stuff. And he was messing with the lights. Like he shows himself like messing with the lights and stuff. And then he basically like says that he's locking himself in that room till it's done. And so he figured out how to use the camera, and he was basically like messing with all the angles and all that kind of stuff like that. So I gotta imagine like he pretty much did it on his own.
Yeah, and coming from someone that just hasn't really seen him too much, just knows he does like comedy through like a lot of songwriting and whatnot.
Right.
I thought it was hilarious, and just how he's able to execute the jokes and the context.
Yes.
I just like it made me really like care about his point of view, whether you agree with it or not, which I don't think was too crazy of a like point of view anyway.
Right.
You're able to get what he was saying. Especially now, like after, because he's kind of reflecting towards COVID and like what he was seeing about the culture and what was going on.
Yeah.
It's easier to interpret now. Maybe at the time, like obviously it wasn't done until now, but it's pretty introspective that he was commenting on how like seems like a lot of people like it should like need to have their own opinions about everything.
Yeah.
And he's just saying, like, you don't have to. Like, you could also shut the fuck up and everything would be okay.
And he wasn't even saying that you shouldn't have your own opinions. He was saying you don't need to voice your opinion every single time
for every
on
single thing.
every single thing, on every single social media platform at every single given moment. Like, you just don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even just for 1 hour.
Yeah.
As he was saying, like, just if you could shut the fuck up.
Yeah, if you could just do that,
things would be fine.
Yeah, things would be fine.
But he was doing sequences of sketches, videos in his house or apartment or whatever, and he was just kind of doing like he did like a song about white girl Instagrams. So he was like every scene was like a cut from like what you would think like see on Instagram of like what he perceived to be white, like a white girl's picture, and then the context, like mom died 10 years ago, still thinking of you,
making it easier though.
Little pumpkins,
little pumpkins and spiced lattes and all this stuff like that. Some of the notes that I had were he depicted a white woman's Instagram. Loren just hit that. He showcased the process of being an artist, which I thought that was pretty interesting because he shows moments of him being like in distress or being unhappy with the process or even just exhausted. You know, it shows more like the editing the process of writing, the process of not being happy or satisfied with what you just did. And like, is it even good, and questioning, you know what I'm saying? Being annoyed with the thing that you thought was a good idea. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, that could be sometimes even worse when it's just your own, because you're your own worst critic.
100%.
I'm sure he doubted himself most of the time.
Most of the time. Well, and then because I don't remember where he was at with comedy. I don't know if he was done with comedy. I don't know if he was taking a break, but it's been a while since he's done anything, and he was not even sure if he wanted to do like this thing, you know? So, which is totally understandable, especially because a lot of the stuff that he's done that got him to where he's at today is in front of a live audience. You know, it's like that production of performance, which I actually kind of like this better.
Yeah, because it's just different. It kind of fuses your mindset in different ways.
Yeah.
Like the whole like when you watch like a theater,
Yeah,
or a stadium, and you see the lights and you see the applause going on. It's like you kind of have this expectation, like he's going to say funny things and he's going to get a laugh.
yeah,
So this whole thing, it's like you don't know what's going to happen.
right. Yeah, it was like off the wall. He basically he asked, "Is it okay to joke at a time like this?" I thought that was a pretty good question to ask, because he would joke, but then he'd kind of bring it back. It's like, oh, like I don't know if this is okay to joke about right now.
And it's specifically as a white male,
Right.
white straight male.
Right.
So I thought that was like a good, brick breaker kind of moment.
Right. And he started off with that, basically saying how he's going to save the world through his comedy because that's the only way he can, because he's a straight white male. Like that's all that he has going for him. You know, it's like,
yeah, might as well use my privilege.
yeah. He talked about Jeff Bezos and the higher ups.
Is that the same one as the non-paid intern, or is that a different one?
No, that was a different one.
Okay,
Yeah, that was a different one. He talked about sexting, and I thought it was interesting because he used the mumble rap, like Drake flows, like the yeah.
Well, and then also like
know?
his theme was like this 80s kind of style of like kind of pop music, and it sounded really good.
So clean, huh?
Yeah, he has a really good voice. He's able to mix itself.
Yeah.
To sound very vintage, like that kind of reverberated kind of sound.
Yes. Big spaces.
Yeah, it wasn't
big
too
snares.
clumpy. There wasn't a lot going on.
No, but it sounded nice together.
Well, and I was telling you earlier, like it's almost more impressive to see well executed like context of a comedy, and then fuse that with good music.
Yes.
So it's like it's getting a point across, but it's doing it in a very like laughing way,
Right.
which is crazy. I think.
Yeah. I agree.
And he does it himself. So, fuck.
And then I thought one of the most ridiculous things throughout the whole thing was his use of lighting.
It was so simple.
It was so simple.
So simple, but it looks so good.
It looks so good. And he just did a really good job of capturing, like, because it was like a bunch of little mini music videos. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was like, how do I make this interesting in this room?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, he had me going the whole night. Like, I ended up like staying up way later than what I wanted to because I had to open today. And I was like, damn, I got to shut this off. So I only got halfway done. I'm not done yet, but I would recommend watching it. I think it's a good view. It's Inside by Bo Burnham. It just came out on Netflix yesterday. So
yeah, people are gonna start talking about it. I assume a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, and I wanted to watch it, you know, to get kind of like on the forefront of it, just to like develop my own opinions on it before anybody else says anything about it, because you know people are going to come after him. But it's almost like he's setting himself up for that, so it's almost like a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, just it's everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
Or everyone will talk about it.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear people it's like, well, it's not true comedy. I think will be an angle. Like, it's not true comedy. There's no audience there, right? So there's one angle. Two, it's maybe some old fans. Like, oh, this is not what I remember him for. So there's two. And three, they maybe just be picking at it because he's voicing an opinion. Like, I'm a white guy that's trying to find... But I think at the end of the day, you're going to just see like, oh, he's doing something he wants to do.
Yeah.
The fact that Netflix gave him an opportunity, kind of like Andrew Schultz, like they gave him the reins to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think you're just going to see more of this.
Yeah.
Kind of like, it kind of reminded me of, what's the dude that performed on Secret Sky?
Oh, Swarty?
Yeah, that like kind of did his own visual setup, like it was like a puppet show basically,
Yeah.
but it was just in the means of his own control to make it just look like crazy. It was almost like you were watching New Colors.
Yeah.
I think, or new. It was almost like he was, or Bo Burnham was like using a new film style, but he really wasn't.
Right.
Just because he didn't know where it was going to go, and it's almost like I came in like naked.
Yeah.
I didn't know, like I just
didn't know
give
what
me
to
a
expect.
fucking shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
clothed.
It was a good way to like meet your expectations without having any expectations. You know?
No, and that's, I mean, for me personally, I liked it because of that, because I didn't know what was coming, that it was way different.
Yeah.
And you could have something that's totally different and just weird.
Yeah.
But the fact that he had just a flat out contextual idea, and for you to get, like, it resonated immediately.
Yeah.
So that's what was
well,
cool.
because in the past you haven't liked any of his stuff, right?
When at the time, I would say it's been a while since I really like did listen to him, but at the time it didn't make me laugh right away because it felt more like a musical. And I'm just, at the time I'm like listening to Louis C.K. and more like crude stuff.
Right.
But I'm sure if I went back, I would appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah. I think because when I would watch his stuff in the past, it wasn't like oh my gosh, this is so hysterically funny. I am on the floor dying. I want to share this joke with everybody. Because it is you have to watch it from beginning to end, because there's things that he'll reintroduce. There's jokes that he does, and he uses the filming differently. You know what I'm saying? Like in one of his specials, he had made cuts right in the middle of the show, and he ended up at a different space. And he did it maybe like 3 or 4 times. Whereas when you were watching it live, you wouldn't have gotten that aspect. So I thought that it was cool that he went the extra mile to do something for his viewership on a streaming site, which would be Netflix. And who knows what he did for that crowd, you know? Because you got to think he probably said something and did some stuff there that like we as the visual audience on the streaming sites didn't get to like experience, but they did. You know, it's kind of like they got to experience something cool, whereas we didn't. So for us, it's cool because we get to experience something that they didn't get to experience. I mean, they do later because they get to watch it too. But yeah, I think he's an interesting dude. He sounded a little bit like Weird Al to me in some of the songs, not in a bad way and not like in a copying way, but just kind of like almost like maybe he probably was influenced by him.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Weird Al was, I mean, he got started in, I think, like 79, 80 or so.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
There was a radio show called Dr. Demento that had a bunch of parodies and funny stuff.
Right.
And then he heard it in high school, I believe, and he submitted his parody of My Sharona. It was My Bologna.
Yeah.
And he did it with an accordion, and then he had
pedalboard thing
pedal boards
that
with
he
just
made.
And then he just had like physical sound effects that you would hear in old Disney films. Then he got picked up.
Wild.
And he was a disc jockey in school. I think it was at Cal Poly Pomona or San Luis, one of the Cal Polys.
Okay.
And he was a disc jockey, and they called him Weird Al just because I guess he was weird looking.
Yeah.
But then he got that going, and then he did little side shows, and then just built a following, and then was able to parody Eminem, Michael Jackson, like.
I know, dude.
But but he had a good voice, and he was a good musician,
right?
And got like a good band, so
right.
So they were, and because it's not just like a general like musical like timeline of like intro, chorus,
right?
Kind of is, but then there's these like intermediate cuts that has to go with the visual, with the music videos.
Right.
Like you won't get it unless you really watch exactly what's happening in the music videos.
In the music video.
So that's what I think might have influenced Bo.
Yeah. No, I agree. Because the songs, when you listen to Weird Al's songs, they're really funny. And especially because you're able to basically say, wow, this sounds exactly like the original. So if you know the original, it makes it that much more funny. You know, like when he did Avril Lavigne's "Complicated," and his version is "Constipated."
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I get it. Like I know that the original is "Why'd you have to go and make me so complicated" or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And then he goes, "Why'd you have to go and make me so constipated?" Or so
But
it's like,
yeah, their voices do sound similar. Like they're like thinking.
Yeah.
Kind of
yeah,
like I don't know how you what you like.
it's nasally.
Like nasally and like pronouncing something like
He's
I
not
guess,
Canadian, is he?
who Weird Al?
Yeah.
No, he was born in Downey.
How
He's a
funny.
SoCal boy.
SoCal boy. Shout
SoCal
out.
boy.
Yeah, but yeah,
Um,
that was like one of our first concerts.
Yeah,
You went
the
to that,
OC
right?
Fair.
The OC Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was wild. I was so
Yeah.
pumped.
Well, because he would because I think at least every song he performed had a music video, so he would
Right.
do costume changes
Yeah,
and then he would act them out basically.
Yeah.
So he's doing choreography
yes,
and he's basically like it's like a musical and he's like his own
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Like, he never had any feature. I don't think he ever had a feature. He was just himself.
I can't think. I think later on he did.
See, I don't remember. I kind of remember the White Nerd. I don't know if it's the White,
White and
Nerdy
Nerdy?
album, the album that had White and Nerdy, which was from like 2004, 2005
that.
or something like
Yeah,
that. That was
after
the
that,
and then he did a couple others, but I don't
Yeah.
remember those ones.
He's actually come out as a feature on other people's songs
Yeah,
now,
that makes sense.
which is hilarious.
Which what other people?
I don't know. Let's see.
Let's figure that out. Like he would be good on Lil Dicky, I think.
Yeah. So he was out.
Weezer.
So he was on Portugal's the Portugal the Man. He was on Weezer. This one just came out in 2020.
Show let's see, what's a good one? Show
I'm fat?
I'm fat. Cause I'm fat. I'm fat. This is parody of I'm Bad by Michael Jackson. Which at the time he did this during Michael Jackson's like
Life.
huge reign.
And the music video is exactly the same as.
Like if you show that to a kid nowadays, like they would be, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, right. Well, and especially if they don't know the
original or like how impactful that was, or like no one did parodies like this at the time.
right. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, he seriously was like one of a kind. You know what I'm saying? Which is so cool.
Well, and then in like he was like not your average looking dude. Like it's
Right.
not like in the media or whatever. So
Right,
the fact that he was somewhat like an anomaly
right.
was tight.
Yeah,
But again, like that just paves the way for people like to be like, oh, like I could do something
Yeah.
like that.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. And like you just don't have to be like the best looking person, the best at what you do. Like you just have to be you have to have a vision and you have to like actually like what you're doing, you know? Cuz it, for him, I think he, really enjoys. I don't know him personally, but it seems like he really enjoys what he does cuz not only does he get to perform, he gets to be funny, he gets to be creative, he has full creative reins. There's just so many things where it's like, oh, like it's just freeing, There's nobody there.
Yeah, like just like you said, I think he probably does it not to be the funniest person
No.
or to be the funniest singer or to
Best
see
musician.
so far ahead that like, oh, I'm gonna be this in so many years, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
It's like I like these songs, I'm influenced by all these people,
Yeah.
but I think it would be funny
Yeah.
just to change the words a bit,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And so like Lil Dicky, Bo Burnham, like I think Bo Burnham probably it's a little more conceptual of like
Right.
making a point.
Yeah.
But like that's or like having a point of view, but that's just stand up. So I
Yeah.
think he's a stand up first, but is using music
Right.
to propel it. Where him is just I think this is funny.
Yeah. Exactly. This is like not so much like fart jokes, but it kind of is in terms of like it's just that one immediate laugh. There's really nothing. There's no harm, no foul. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like you were saying with Bo Burnham, he wants to get across some ideas and get his points across, and there's punchlines and there's timing and stuff like that. This is just like pure talent with some comedy on it, though. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Especially with the band, because the reason that they didn't have to get copyrights, and they never had an issue with that, and they didn't actually even have to ask for permission.
They didn't need to, but I think
He
they
does.
did. But
He
I think
does.
they did.
Yeah, he does. Just out of respect. Yeah. But I mean, how many people said yes to him? You know what I'm saying? I think Eminem was the hardest one. He said that he had to ask Eminem a couple times.
Well, and he wouldn't let him do a music video. That was like the straw. Like you could do it, but like you can't make a music video.
Really?
Yeah, and that was on
8 Mile?
dun 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 dun. No, that's
8 Mile.
no, it's not 8 Mile. It's fuck.
Mom spaghetti. These arms are heavy.
Yeah,
Isn't
look
that-
it up.
isn't
No,
that-
it's something else. Lose Yourself.
Lose Yourself.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's-
okay.
That's what it. Lose Yourself. I mean, I think that was just to the trailer of 8 Mile.
It was
I
like the
think.
theme song, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was
Okay.
that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sure he had all these ideas for, because just to see this guy in like Eminem like attire to do a music video.
And he never did a music video. I didn't realize that. He did a fake interview, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I remember they played it at the concert. I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny.
I guess I never knew that.
So
that album
yeah.
was like my favorite album, but I think it was just because of the
It was
times.
Yeah, it was the first one that like hit. I think
Yeah.
we heard that one first. We bought the album.
Yeah.
We listened to that, and then we retracted and looked at the past ones.
Right. Yeah.
I remember going to, it was right when we moved to Brea in like 2003.
Mhm.
Dad brought us to Tower Records when it was still a thing in Brea. It
Yeah.
was 2 levels.
Yeah.
And we bought a couple albums, and we bought the best of Dr. Demento, so the dude that put this guy on the map.
Right.
And it's just a collection of different parodies from different people,
Yeah.
or like funny songs. And I remember me and Dad in the car dying laughing.
Yeah.
Like there was a song called Fish Heads,
Yeah.
and there was a guy just talking about like cut off heads of fish and like how special they were. And like it was just so really dumb things. But
Super dumb things.
But it was like one of those moments too, because like I think we laugh at whatever our dad laughs at.
Yeah.
So like when hearing him laugh really hard about something just kind of strikes a funny bone.
I don't know how to spell it. It's this album, right?
Yes.
Let's see.
And then Weird Al's Yoda. So it's like Lola.
Oh
Remake.
yeah.
Lola. But his was Yoda. Oh, that looks kind of.
Yeah, but you can see it on here. This was the very best of Dr. Demento. Man, this was the album.
I think for most people, like if they haven't seen this, like seeing funny in music probably would have maybe gone from like Disney. Like
Yeah.
that could have been their only depiction of any sort of humor.
Yeah.
Like in Lion King, the Can We Fall in Love? Or the one where like
Can you hear the love tonight? That one?
Can you
Feel.
might have been Feel.
Feel.
But like
the
Timon
love
and
tonight.
Pumbaa are singing in the
Yeah, yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
yeah, there's a bunch of them. But
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the people don't really get well thought out like satire like this.
Right. Most of them. I feel like most people don't have the time or patience for it, like to want to like
Yeah.
sit down and listen to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like stand-up comedy would not be as popular.
If it got started now.
Not so much that if it got started now, if it continued to stay with CDs. Because remember, like stand-ups would do like albums. They used to do albums. And
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Like if they did full albums.
if they did full albums, if to be a stand-up comedian, the way you did it was through albums and through live shows. Like I don't think we'd be where we're at today with stand-up comedy.
Well, with the internet, it's like they didn't need to. So the albums, hearing from like Joe Rogan people, like a lot of the reasons they only did that was like for money, basically, kind of like merch.
Right.
Like was just kind of sell for merch and get more money.
Right.
Where now it's, I think the internet pretty much says it all. Like you go on YouTube and like you just all the clips are there.
Right.
So because I think also they're like the money going into like creating your CDs and that whole
the
process,
distribution and all
it's
that.
probably just a pain in the ass. So if you
Yeah.
don't need to do that and you could just focus your time on like writing or just
Right.
traveling or whatever,
Right.
that's probably why.
Right. No, I agree.
So if the internet wasn't as big of a deal now, they'd probably still be doing that.
But you
But
don't
it
think
was-
that you don't think hypothetically, even if the internet wasn't as big as it is, or as imperative, or that there was that big boom, you don't think that with the development of like video cameras and being more like compact, that they would have went towards more like visual as opposed to audio, just naturally.
Probably. But the thing is, it's just more portable, like to just, because most people back then didn't have like a DVD player to
Right.
like watch video or whatever.
For sure.
So it's like whatever you could get your hand on to listen to it, or like a CD, which at the time, like
Yeah.
everyone had a CD player.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I think it's just a matter of like how could you get the content to the listener or the consumer easiest, and it probably was CDs.
I just wonder because we grew up not knowing what it was like to get a comedy album, because I don't think we ever got a comedy album.
Well, I consider Weird Al.
No,
But,
I meant
like a
stand up. I guess I just wonder what the popularity of that was.
Well, once we got into it, which was like
Dane Cook,
05, 06,
yeah.
we had iTunes.
Right,
So I remember we bought Harmful
For
is
sure.
Swallowed by Dane Cook.
for sure.
So we did, but we didn't have a CD. It wasn't
True.
a physical one, which we
That's
could have
true.
burned. Which we could have burned
That's
to
true.
a CD.
No, that's true.
So,
You're right, and we did find that funny.
I mean, for the longest
Yeah.
time, you know how when you change computers and phones and
Yeah,
systems, sometimes you just carry the original songs you may
iTunes,
have
yeah,
had.
yeah.
So like for the longest time, I had some of those Dane Cook,
Yeah, yeah.
and also when burning them from LimeWire,
Right,
because we would just go and like try to look for all the different sets and stuff.
right. Yeah,
So, and then we just burn. I remember there was some shitty ones.
yeah.
Like one of the shitty ones was like a rip from a set about the ATMs
Mm-hmm.
or horror movies once, and it was just like it was funny, and I would sit through it just because I thought it was funny, but I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is so shitty compared to
Yeah,
like
some of the
a
other
bought
ones.
one.
Yeah. That was the whole kind of Russian roulette with LimeWire. You just didn't know. I mean, they had the quality, right? So like you would try to get the best quality, but there was some times where you would like search for the specific title, and there was none that were like good quality, so you just kind of had to settle.
Yeah. It'd be like, well, do I really want this?
Yeah.
And be like, yeah,
I
kinda
do.
want this in my glossary. But I actually really enjoyed albums when there wasn't like a actual live recording of it, to see like what was like they were actually saying,
Yeah.
or like how it perceived.
Yeah.
So there was this kind of mystery of like you're putting in your own head how he's acting.
Mhm.
I think Dane Cook's a perfect example because he's so animated.
Yeah.
So you're like picturing how he's doing, where he's moving,
Yeah.
what he might be doing.
Yeah.
So then when clips started coming about, it's like, oh, that's what he was doing. And
Yeah.
then you kind of
Yeah.
mix and mash.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun time, like getting into Dane Cook, into comedy.
Mhm.
And because a lot of it was the LimeWire stuff, and then the little YouTube videos with the very crappy done animation,
Yeah, well,
you know,
the first one was a stick figure one
stick figures.
about it was his joke called, it was like being remembered, and then it segued into shit on the coats. It's
Yeah.
like, here's a way to be remembered. Go up to a little boy, get his ice cream cone, smash it on the ground, and say, "You remember me forever." That was one, but like how he
Yeah.
did it was,
Yeah.
it was a stick figure and just like
yeah.
like this or whatever. And then it's like, here's another way to be remembered. Go to a party, a great big party. Go to the room with all the coats. Shit on the coats. And then you come out and be like, hey, someone shit on the coats. And then you know it's you, but they don't. And then you're just like, oh, I hope it wasn't on my coats, but you know. But it's like, again, it's like a stick figure.
Yeah.
And there's just something about that where I connected. I got the humor of what it was trying to say. And then also there's an audience
Right.
to kind of affirm
Right.
that it's funny.
Yeah.
Which I think it's almost like a cheat. It's almost like training wheels to perceive.
Well, that's
a
why they
point.
have the laugh tracks, like in sitcoms and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, probably so. But I think sitcoms got popular before
Right.
stand up. But it's
Yeah,
the same.
but it's like
concept.
the same psychology. It's like if
exactly.
if they hear a laughing audience at home, they will laugh.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's like they're trying to perceive a certain way of thought, which I think for the most part they're pretty dead on.
Yeah,
But it does help, and if you take that away,
yeah,
it's not. I mean, even for stand up, for any joke,
right.
like hearing Louis C.K. just talk about how these perversions he's had and all this fucked up stuff, and
Yeah.
there was no laugh.
Yeah,
You're like, fuck, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like this
well, because then you got to imagine too that they themselves feel like, oh, this is not hitting. I'm
well,
bombing.
if they bomb,
they're
that's
bombing.
not a good feeling
Yeah,
ever. they
they're
say.
bombing, and so you're like, I got to continue on with my set because I have these things thought out to work a certain way, and especially when you're trying stuff out, like when they're not tight, they're not well put together, and you're just trying to formulate the ideas and how they're gonna like mesh into one another. If you're not getting like a response from an audience, I got to imagine you're getting in your head, and so it just kills your timing and it kills your. It's a distracting, you know.
Yeah, but they later say how much more you learn
For
in those
sure,
moments,
for sure.
which I think is like
With anything,
reflect towards life.
yeah,
But going back to Dane Cook, I think that was a good bridge, like to get into comedy, because I think he channeled towards more younger people and a younger mind.
yeah,
So I thought that was good. But it would also one of the other people that I brought up was Russell Peters, who's this Canadian Indian comedian who his shtick is all race oriented.
right,
So he'll bring up like India, like his background. He'll get into China, like he'll get into African everything, white
Yeah.
people.
yeah,
And one of our teammates, who's like Korean American guy,
yeah,
would say his jokes.
uh-huh,
Like was it he was talking about like one of the Russell Peters jokes is going like Indians and Chinese people can't do business with each other. Like I try to go to the mall and try to buy a bag, and then I was like, how much for the bag? And the guy was like, $84. And then he's like trying to bargain, and he kept just upping it to like 50 cents and 50 cents. But he kept doing it like the accent.
yeah,
And I thought it was hilarious. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
look at Russell Peters. Which so he never said like this isn't my joke. He's
Yeah.
like, oh. But then I used to do that too,
yeah.
where you would hear a joke from a
Yes.
comedian and then you would just like play
Use
it.
it, yeah,
And then you just sometimes hope that no one heard it.
yeah,
Which now I always give credit.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
because
yeah.
I don't care about my like as long as it's funny.
Right, as long as you get the laugh.
Yeah,
in
I'll get the
your-
laugh.
Yeah,
I'll let them laugh and be like, oh, that was a Louis
yeah,
C.K.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was like the next wave of comedy for me was
Russell Peters.
yeah, and it's kind of a deep, in a way, a deep like area of context because it's like race, right?
Yeah.
But at the time, I'm a kid. I'm like 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost desensitized me a little bit. It's like, oh, like there's this funny thing about this. And it was never like a negative thing because he wasn't talking shit
No.
ever. Like it
No.
was just like, this is what I have observed about this
100%.
culture.
Yeah.
So then I would be like, oh, that's for most of the time because living in SoCal, we come across similar people that he's come across. So
100%.
it's like, oh, like that's just reinforcing what I saw, but he did it in a very comedic way.
Right. Well, and then the way that they lead up to the joke and they give you this like backstory or they give you the context or they give you like this understanding, you associate with the picture that they're painting because you almost like put yourself in that same position. You're like, oh, I've experienced something similar to that, or I know what you're talking about, or so it because it's somewhat truthful. You're like, well, no, that's wrong. Like, that's not right. That's not correct. You're kind of like, you get tied in, more and more and more as they continue to develop the joke. And then once they hit that punchline, these guys have like perfect timing. They just know, and they work through their punchlines. And then you're just like, oh, that does make a lot of sense too. So you're laughing not because it's really funny. You're kind of laughing because it's true. Like that's kind of what gets those like heavy laughs. I remember I experienced that with like Joe Coy.
Yeah,
When he would talk about,
he's funny as fuck.
Yeah, like I would get that experience with Joe Coy, like just because like everything he was talking about, like even though he was talking about, I'm sorry, where is he from again? He's Filipino. Filipino. His mom is anyway.
Is it Filipino or is it Vietnamese?
I'm pretty sure his mom's Filipino.
Okay.
Because he talks because I remember one of the stand-up specials because I had seen him before he did his special for Seattle. And Seattle, there was like a bunch of Filipino people there, but mostly to see him, not so much that Seattle's like, infested with Filipinos, but he is like basically talking like crap on nurses. Because they're all, he's like, if you're gonna get sick, today, or if you're gonna have a heart attack, or you're gonna pass out, this is the show to do it at, because there will be 1,800 motherfuckers like over there to like rescue you. It's like, is he breathing? Is he breathing? Doing the accent and stuff, and it's just like you're just dying laughing, and it's like it's not because it's harmful, and he's not really making fun of the race, but let's be honest, like a ton of nurses are Filipino, and like they're good at their job. They are. That's what it is, and so there's an honesty there. And I think that's what correlates with like pretty good comedy.
Well, and I just like the idea of like taking a subject and could be like just something meaningful, like perhaps like the color of this table on the underside.
Yeah.
Like, when do we ever think about that? But then just saying like, what could be funny about this?
Yeah.
So when it's something on a larger scale, like Filipino nurses, like that's gonna like just the fact that it has like a place, like you could just make that funny, and if it lands, then that just is a cool trick, basically.
Right. Yeah, 100%. What do you think about so I would say that like Russell Peters and even like a Dane Cook, people that are kind of like on the bigger platforms, even like a Joe Rogan, they do a really good job of getting their point across without kind of almost being scared of being canceled. I haven't really heard about any of these guys that like are huge, hit that like cross that crossover yet, but there are these comedians like say like a Ari Shaffir, where he kind of doesn't give any like fucks at all. Like he really doesn't care about getting canceled. So his awareness of what he's saying, it's not that it's non-existent, it's that I'm gonna push that boundary so much to see where I can go. How do you feel about that type of comedy, especially like in our current like day and age? Do you think that it's necessary? Do you think that more people will do it? Do you think that it's kind of like it's going to die down a little bit? What do you kind of think about?
It's interesting. Well, I think because the climate was starting to get it pretty PC.
Yeah.
But when things are safe, then it's fun to be like the opposite. So I think that's what you see, the reflection of that is like Ari Shaffir, Luis Gomez, all the like Legion of Skanks kind of guys. So they're successful because they drive that market. So their audience expects a lot of racial slurs or a lot of, this craziness that like maybe if you were to walk into not knowing that it would actually be offensive.
Right.
But that's just what they go off of.
Right.
So with this climate going, kind of leveling out a bit, you might, I would think like if there becomes someone that becomes so flagrant, which I just don't think the industry is really able to support that.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Ari Shaffir will ever get to
the top,
like tip top, like Chris Rock level or Luis Gomez. And if Joe Rogan's huge, but I wouldn't say he's like widespread across platforms as like the biggest person that everyone's talking about.
I wouldn't say in comedy.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, not in comedy.
So
sure.
I think there's a check and balances for that as well. Like I just think like it's not going to get that saturated. But that's interesting that like there's probably going to be more people that are going to be doing that.
Yeah.
And then that flagrancy isn't going to be as shocking as like it was maybe last year.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if there's going to be a change due to the like generation, like age groups. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like a lot of the people that I think, and this is just me talking like kind of like being a little bit older than, say like 18-year-olds or the younger generation right now, even though I'm still pretty young. I feel like the groups that go to these comedy shows, they're a little bit older, mostly because you got to be over 21. So they're, honestly, they seem older than 21. Like there's not, when I go to these comedy shows, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of like super super young people, and you can tell the ones that are, because they're the ones that are just kind of getting belligerent, they're being loud, they're not really even like paying attention. So I would say that the people that are there to enjoy comedy, they're a little bit older. So I'm wondering if maybe these 15, 16, late high school, early college kids start to like get a taste for comedy, if they're gonna basically deny it and be like, oh no, like I don't find that funny, or I'm offended by it, or I'm triggered by it, or if like as time goes on and they kind of like get invested in it, they will start to maybe change their mindset, and maybe comedy would kind of like, I guess, be a gateway into a calmingness of we can joke about some stuff and we're not being completely serious here. We're all just here to kind of have a good time and make light of some dark things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to kind of see how it plays out.
Yeah. I mean, once you're like 18 to, young, like 20s or whatever, it's like, yeah, you're younger than us who have experienced comedy before all this happened. But I mean, I'm sure it'll filter out people that actually do understand, like, oh, like I was in high school when, the Harvey Weinstein thing happened, and it was like kind of weird to talk about, girls in a certain way or whatnot. So, and there's maybe some people that wouldn't have got into stand up because of it.
True.
So I think it's strong enough.
Yeah.
And that's what podcasts are here for, to at least showcase what you might see in the show.
Right.
So as long as podcasts are here, I think there's going to always be a market for stand up.
Yeah.
Will
I
it
think so
maybe plateau? Is it like a bubble because Netflix is giving so much specials, and they're reopening the economy now, and clubs are starting to just book as many as possible.
Yeah.
So, I think just everyone just always wants the fact that people always want to laugh and like need to laugh.
True.
I think there will always be a platform for that.
And I think like thinking about how old I thought I thought when I was like 18, 19, 20, like thinking about like me and how I perceived myself, I really thought like I was older and more mature than what I was. And then I, fast forward now to 28, and I think about some of the things that I did, some of the things that I said,
we were children.
Yeah.
We thought we were adults.
And I thought I was straight up an adult, dude. So I just kind of think about, that's kind of like my hope for humanity, you know what I'm saying, is that like we're just so young still, especially with this technology and with these, these social issues and all this kind of stuff. Like I'm really hopeful that as we continue to like start picking these holes in our society and our government and all this kind of stuff, that like we kind of start to get older and more mature too. So instead of like allowing this stuff to like reoccur and happen again, we just kind of nip it in the butt and hopefully teach the next generation, some of the negatives that the technology and the social media has had on us, and some of the positives that it has had on us, or some of the negative effects of like college, for example, and student debt, and maybe doing the junior college first, or like going into like a trade school, like just things like that for the next generation, kind of like not paving the way the same way that our parents and our grandparents did, because we're in like a different wave of life now. It doesn't really work the same.
Well, it's definitely going to be pros and cons.
For sure.
So like in the, post like 60s, 70s, 80s of the emergence of technology, like it became more accessible to do things in less time and with less people to get information out.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a really good thing. But then at the same time, you get dependent to it. And then the things that we value as people, like socializing, like just human interaction, then kind of has to take a step aside, because then we're not having to deal with people one-on-one.
Yeah.
So, like going into the next couple decades or so, I'm sure there's going to be some really great things. It's things that I can't even conceive.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be some things where it's just going to turn me into an old man. Like, oh man, I miss just how I used to be. And I don't want to be that guy, but I know I'm going to be that. And I'm getting prepared, so I'm not annoying about it.
Right.
Someone asked me, like, I'm just not going to be the ones like, so for example, like, serving, we have the little scan code for the menu.
Yeah.
And for the most part, people just get it, and like they'll just see it, and they don't even have to ask, like, oh,
right. They know what it is.
But you'll get a lot of old people, who come in and you get their drinks or whatever, and then you're like, oh, are you ready to order your food? And they just look at you like, I mean, we would be if we had menus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, you gotta, like scan the code right there. And then almost every time they'll be like, not mad at me, be like, ah. And then I'll always be like, I could get menus, like we could, and then I'll make it like a bit, like, oh, we could go vintage. I could get you something to touch, like, and they'll laugh every time, and they're, but they're like frustrated, and they're like, man, I'm just old. Could I just get a
yeah.
So I like, I don't want to be exactly like that, and you can make a mistake, like, oh, I didn't see the card here. I've done that before, but the idea that like, oh, the world isn't coexisting around me,
right?
Like, that's a atrocity. Like, why aren't you adapting to me?
Right.
And we just see centuries or just decades and years in time that, things are just changing so fast. So it might like to our grandparents, it might be somewhat similar, even if they don't think so.
Right.
Where to us, it's probably going to be, when we're 60, it's going to be fucking all different. It's going to literally
so dramatic.
I hope it's funny.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this is exactly like the fucking like fucking Born Night, or like something like some future movie.
Yeah. What's the
iRobot? This is like iRobot.
Yeah.
Got my Converse from.
Or what's the one with Tom Cruise?
Minority
Report. Yeah,
that one's freaky.
Yeah. So I just I know I'm gonna be like that old man, but yeah, I agree. Where like my biggest thing is like dealing with like patience and just like just okay, like this is not a big deal. Like like and trying to be like that positive kind of person, especially like at work, because I'll get that too, where it's like especially like during the mobile order thing. This whole mobile order boom with the COVID pandemic was like a huge thing. And a lot of people didn't like it because I don't use the mobile phone. I don't like to do it. I want to come in here and I want to order. And you just got to be like, like I can't really do much about it, but let me show you. So instead of complaining about it, bring them aside and then be like, walk them through it. You know what I'm saying? And most people would just get annoyed, where it's like, oh, like I can't believe they're asking for this again. And It's like I get it. I'm annoyed too, but like also, being annoyed isn't going to help the situation. They're just going to come back again, And so it's like what, and so kind of like you're saying, seeing their reaction to change, kind of taking it the step further of like, okay, like I know that I'm probably going to go through that throughout my entire lifetime, and even more so, like you're saying, with the crazy progression of technology. So how am I going to take these experiences and learn from them so that I'm not that way when I get older?
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of do that now. Like I said, like I'm not necessarily joking when I'm saying like I'm trying to train as an old man right now.
Yeah.
So like regarding the menu thing, so most of the servers I work with, they just like, they know they have, they're complaining about, like they're seeing it as they're rude, which they might be.
Sure.
But I just know that, well, they're not trying to be rude. They're just frustrated. So like, so I see it as more of an opportunity. So the whole like, oh, like I got menus for you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it funny so I could like humanize with someone else.
Yeah.
So that's what I think I'm trying to look for. Like, it's like, well, I'm trying to just be more empathetic.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll help me be understanding for when I do have to wear a diaper in 20 years.
Yeah. Well, and that type of
it'll be a sick diaper though. It'll be sick.
You think you're going to use the reusable diapers?
I mean,
wash them.
It'll be some sort of like nylon, just like where like it like floats and just like I could just go and then it flushes right away.
Okay.
Probably diffuses where like it just like psh, so it's not this like Pampers.
Yeah. You can still wear your skinny jeans.
Oh yeah. I'll still wear my skinny jean, my Vans,
dude.
My active shirts.
I say that. I really hope I stick to it.
Well, because when you see old people, it's comfort, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's going to be like, I mean, just try to picture like if Active tried to launch like a seniors line.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're going to wear.
Yeah, 100%.
So like the same stuff, but like somewhat like loose.
I'm still going to be rocking my my Adidas joggers.
My Mockies.
You know what I'm saying? My moccasins. They might have an extra little pad in there.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Just for support.
Foot support.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a badass cane.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like it'll be like my phone basically. It'll have like it'll count my steps. It'll tell me when to take my medication.
Oh, ooh, you should patent this now. Don't talk about it no more.
Just write that down.
Eye staff.
The eye staff. The eye staff. And the launch commercial is like Gandalf.
Yeah.
You shall not stop. Gandalf, take your vitamin C supplement in T-minus 3 minutes.
Sponsored by the compact diaper.
Yes.
The diaper compactor.
Dude.
Sold locally at JCPenney.
I mean, you gotta think like millennials who are like 20, like getting into their 30s.
Yeah.
They're trying to think of this shit. Like they're gonna make it like tight.
Yeah.
Like being old is gonna be
super cool. Well, especially what they're trying to prolong age.
Yeah, which right now it's going up, but because there's going to be a population downer, I think there's less older or younger people coming up, so there's going to be even more older people.
Yeah. So
they're going to have to adapt, and if they're healthier, they'll be able to work longer.
Right.
So it's just better for everybody.
And nobody's going to be able to go into retirement right now, so.
Well, the idea of like retirement homes is kind of fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like it makes sense maybe like when they're pitching it, like here's a place where, you know, Uncle Dan could go and then play cards and dance around with his friends.
Be fed.
But really it's just like the family just not wanting anything to do with them.
Yeah, they just
would rather pay the rent and pay the money for them to go off.
Right.
So which is pretty fucked up.
Yeah. I don't really foresee that happening in our circumstance, you know, hopefully, but like, who knows? Maybe if you're schizophrenic, I might not be able to handle you.
Yeah. And then I guess, well, just put you in a room with foam, you know, and then get good, give them some crayons.
Foam room.
Give them some crayons or something. Just see what goes on. I actually had, I kind of had a thought, like, if I was schizophrenic, like, what if like I was schizophrenic, but like my shtick, like the thing I couldn't take my mind off of was like Ableton. Was like, I'm gonna go like deep and like everything's Ableton. We're in a DAW right now.
Yeah.
I'm on audio. Render. Like I'm being rendered.
I'm mute.
That's a crazy movie idea. Like a sci-fi, like getting fused into the DAW.
Yeah. Huh.
So the DAW, so that's one good idea. The eye staff.
Compacting diaper.
And the future diaper.
So we gotta cut it quits now because we got some work to do. Gotta get these ideas down. And we're also running on 137. So that's a pretty good time to cut it.
So
that was cool. That was fun.
Yeah.
No Charlie today. We'll talk about that in the intro. We didn't forget about you, Charlie. He's living it up in Hawaii.
Dude.
Yeah, he's living it up right now.
Living the life.
Yeah, he's chilling. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. We will talk to you next week on the Big Small Talks podcast.
Peace out.
Peace.